Sold. Congratulations.
On the evening of May 18th, Christie sold over $1 billion worth of art in just a few hours.
And we should start you at $11 million, $12 million, $13 million.
After years of stalled sales, the art and auction industries are making a comeback. But that recovery is increasingly concentrated in a small number of ultra-expensive, highly competitive collections.
28, 29.
We expect about $1 trillion worth of art to change hands over the next decade.
As competition intensifies for the market's most valuable art collections, Christie's is battling on two fronts: securing the limited supply of headline-making masterpieces and expanding its auctions to attract the next generation of buyers.
We do sell things that are $5,000 as well as $50 million. There is something that will be interesting to you.
Can the centuries-old auction house build its new base while still winning where the bidding means the most?
Fair warning, last chance, no regrets. 154 million in a new place.
Spring is the start of art season in New York. The walls of the world's leading art houses bloom with O'Keeffe's, Monet's, and Warhol's, welcoming the world's wealthiest to pick up Picasso's and Pollock's.
So it's in the region of $80 million, the Rothko, which is the top lot of the 20th century evening sale.
But the art market isn't all sunshine and Rothkos. In 2024, global art sales fell about 12%. Christie's CEO Bonnie Brennan says improving sales in the last year and growing optimism across the market are painting a brighter future for the industry.
We had a really solid 25. In the back half of 25, we had a 25% increase in our sales. What does that mean and why does that play a role? Because it gave people confidence. It said, okay, the market is stable. I can sell my works with confidence that there will be competition and great results.
What's driving what you sell and demand currently that would explain great prices for so much of the pieces of art and collectibles that you're selling?
So much of our success depends on the supply that we have to sell. And we have been incredibly lucky this season that we have excellent supply. A lot of the great collectors of our generation have sadly passed on, and therefore we're seeing those collections come to market. That really offers a special opportunity to buyers. It's a rare opportunity and it's a discovery, and that's what makes the market really excited.
Is Gerhard Richter still alive?
Yes, so he's perhaps our greatest living painter today.
It's not every day that $1 billion collection hits the market. These works are critical to auction houses' bottom lines, meaning competition for these estates is fierce. Brennan is experienced in winning those battles. Before becoming Christie's CEO in 2025, she had spent decades between both Christie's and Sotheby's, during which she secured and managed record-breaking sales that grossed in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
The business of sourcing property, to me, is something that starts when there's no real opportunity. You have to build that relationship and that trust long before you ever get to the point of saying, would you ever sell that work?
The auction business is one that benefits from volume and scale, but it's the right kind of volume and scale.
In the art auction world, you'll often hear experts, like Drew Watson, cite the 3 Ds for why someone might be selling their collection. Debt, divorce, and death.
And we'll sometimes throw in deaccessioning, which is just a fancy word meaning discretionary selling from a collection. And then I will throw in a 5th one, which is downsizing. People selling maybe a large home, moving into a smaller space. It sounds mundane, but it's a real problem when you're trying to hang art.
Yeah, well, a problem I cannot relate to, but you know.
Watson has spent decades advising some of the art industry's biggest spenders. He says that periods of high wealth concentration, from the Renaissance to the 1980s tech boom, often come with increased spending on art.
£2,200,000.
The art market is a very sentiment-driven market, and the wealth effect essentially tells us that when markets are down and collectors feel like they have less disposable income to be able to make large discretionary purchases, like purchasing art, that typically is a headwind for the art market. And conversely, when equity markets are up, people see their portfolios are up, even if they're not realizing those gains, they feel like they have more liquidity at their disposal to deploy in large purchases.
Do you keep an eye on the stock market and the IPO market? Or is the clientele at your top end a little bit immune to whatever the Dow is doing?
We are watching all the time what's happening in the markets. Yes, our clients are immune, but they don't feel immune. And perception is reality. And if they're feeling impacted, that impacts their participation in our sale.
Today, the thriving U.S. stock market is expanding the slim class of ultra-wealthy buyers, leading major auction houses to focus their sales around the market's most valuable masterpieces.
We're coming off of a period of extended stock market gains. This is part of the overall K-shaped economy, and we've seen a stratification, especially in the auction space. The ultra-high-end auction houses, the global houses like Christie, Sotheby's, and Phillips, really trying to up-tier their offering and not taking lower value lots as they would have maybe a decade ago.
$39 million.
We are in the middle of what many people have thought of in the art world as the great wealth transfer.
At $35 million on the first telephone.
We expect about $1 trillion worth of art to change hands over the next decade.
For $39,500,000 sold.
I mean, $100 million on several of the pieces. There are a lot of wealthy people in the world, but that is serious wealth. Does the pool of buyers not shrink with time?
We sell works across 80 categories. You know, our average lot value is just over $100,000, but our median lot value is under $10,000. Yes, you read the headlines about the $100 million picture, and of course there are fewer buyers for that work. The good news is that there's so much wealth creation in the world that we've actually seen a number of new buyers participating at the masterpiece level.
What right now is fueling this top end of the market?
The 20th and 21st century sales in New York, I mean, this is the moment in the calendar where we know the high end of the market comes out. In other words, the individuals with the highest willingness to pay come out and bid and purchase art.
Would you like 4? No, at $3,900,000.
The first Christie's auction debuted in London in 1766, when James Christie sold a pair of sheets, some pillowcases, and a couple of chamber pots. Today, Christie's is one of the largest auction houses in the world and offers over 80 different art and luxury categories, ranging from cars to collectibles. But the diamonds in Christie's crown are its biannual 2021 art auctions, which feature some of the world's most prized pieces of 19th to 21st century art.
This is a Brancusi sculpture, which previously set records. It was the record for any sculpture ever sold at auction.
For the Danade.
The current record for Brancusi is around $70 million.
I'm going to sell it at $93 million, selling the Brancusi for $93 million. So 93 to 1793.
Last year, the 2-week-long auctions brought in nearly $2.9 billion. Those two sales alone accounted for nearly half of Christie's total annual sales across public and private sales. In other words, a narrow sliver of ultra-wealthy buyers, both able and willing to spend multiple millions on a single painting, can now make or break Christie's bottom line.
How many people are really participating in this globally? Is it in the hundreds of people? Is it in the thousands?
I mean, this is the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, right? There are relatively few collectors that are able to bid at that level, but when they do, they will go after it aggressively.
Against 4 other bidders, 104 million, no regrets, Mahia. For $155 million, are we sure? 156 million.
While Christie's is still dependent on its 2021 art auctions, Brennan is transforming the centuries-old company into a next-generation auction house. The company has leaned into luxury items like handbags, watches, and sneakers, which are the main entry point for new and younger buyers. The millennial and younger cohort now represents almost 50% of the company's new bidders.
Tell us a little bit about this new cohort that's coming up. Are they gravitating to the same classics, or do they have their own artists that they're particularly drawn to?
I think this generation, we see a great confidence and bravery in looking at different things. They're not just following what their parents bought. We've seen a huge demand around luxury goods. We've had a digital art moment here at Christie's. We recently bought a car auction house. We see a tremendous new young audience really interested in vintage automobiles. We have to be good listeners to how they want to engage with us and what they want. And that, for Christie's, is the best way to make new relationships. Bring them in, have them come to our website, and then be able to show them a much more diverse offering.
Technology has become central to Christie's operations. Over 80% of bids are now placed online, allowing Christie's to tap into an expanding pool of international buyers.
You're obviously well established in the UK and in the US. Where else do you see interest in Christie's and selling through Christie's and buying through Christie's?
About half of our business is generated in our New York sales room. London has been and always will be our headquarters. Geneva is a major sale room for us for luxury. We see interest from the Middle East. We just expanded in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have seen great interest from Asia at that highest level of the market.
Yet behind the pomp and price tags remains a more human element to collecting art.
People who I think are drawn to collecting have to be to some extent emotionally driven, and I think it's no accident that we think of art as a passion asset.
Works of art are like children to them. You can sit in someone's living room and they'll talk for hours about how they bought a particular work of art. Those things really mean something to them.
And we should start you at $11 million, $12 million, $13 million.
There's an old adage in the art ecosystem that says, buy what you love, but I like to give that a twist and say you have to love what you buy to be able to navigate the current market with valuations where they are.
And selling them for $157 million to Alex Rogers' telephone and selling the Pollock. Congratulations.